10.5 total. How much more do you need for construction? What I'm wondering is if the right-of-way allows 12.5 or more, can you stay within the right-of-way to build the 10.5?
That's a great question, and there's going to be areas where we can, and there's going to be areas where we can't. And the reason for that is we design a 2-foot shoulder at the edge of the path for stability, for erosion, to make it last. And from that 2 feet, we typically go down at a 3-to-1 or 2-to-1 slope, and if we're higher, and sometimes we go up at a 2 or 3-to-1 slope if we're lower. So that slope is going to get very close to that right of way. And sometimes it's going to pass it if we have a little bit of a higher situation than normal. And we like to go from the construction limit out at least 5 feet for temporary easements, just to give ourselves elbow room, for the purpose of construction. And that slope sometimes is going to track outside of the existing right-of-way, but it's soil, it's dirt. It's not part of the infrastructure itself, but it just allows us to tie in our slopes and keep everything stable.
Okay. Is there any way, you said DOT didn't want to necessarily make it, I'm going to talk total width, 10.5 from, I think with the parking lot, that keeping the 12.5 I'm at the trailhead crossing Summerfield Road. We have the parking lot. If you kept it 12.5 there and then starting at the next person's property headed north, is there a way to go 8 feet from there all the way to the fire station, 8 feet?
If we have to, I believe we can make the case that these are all constrained areas for the purpose of trying to build the trail, keep the entire width of infrastructure within the existing right-of-way, including the shoulder, and possibly be able to build it entirely within the right-of-way. I think we can make that case.
When would we know we have that case made with DOT?
So the division, this is Division 7 in Greensboro, they've reached out to the Integrated Mobility Division to ask this question, so I'm sure it'll take us another week or so to hear back from them. The question for them was only the constrained areas. It was not a wholesale. Now, I don't know if they'll share the wholesale question with them, the wholesale being from the fire station all the way to the trailhead. But that's the question we can certainly ask.
But it's my understanding, based on what I've heard today and since the last meeting, that that's where that is a constraint, that whole area. So that's why I want to know, can you make that whole area 8 foot? It's also, there's a part of the trailhead, and you may know where it is, that was actually turned into sidewalk in certain constrained areas as it transitioned. Just putting it out there. Is that something that could be done so that if there's an issue with temporary easements, you can keep everything in the DOT right away? I've personally experienced temporary easements, and they fixed it back. It's a little bit different just because they had to put a larger culvert in at my driveway, but for the most part, I mean, everything was put back the way that it was originally before they got there and started messing with the dirt. They just needed, in fact, they wanted my land, they were redoing the bridge, and they just wanted my land to be able to park vehicles on. So I got rent money.
Sure. So to answer your question, because the roadway design manual specifically states 10 feet as the minimum, but with 8 feet in constrained areas, I believe it gives us a lot of latitude. The reason why I chose or wanted to reach out to North Carolina DOT is, like I said, they're a partner, and they're approving the design, and they want to make sure that everything's done according to the ADA and AASHTO and all of their standards. And I didn't want to slip that in. I mean, I wanted to reach out to them and let them know that we do have some constrained areas and make sure that they would be on board with that. As your engineer, I'm comfortable with it, and I think we can move forward with it, but I also think at the same time it's important to make sure that our stakeholder, since the town has a municipal agreement with the state, to make sure the state understands why and what we're doing. and knows about it now rather than when we submit 100% plans. So I'm happy to follow up with them again tomorrow. I was waiting to hear back, but I did not hear back from them today.
I have a couple.
Go ahead.
Okay. Just going down my list. Okay, if I start with the Medplex. I think that you discussed with him the easement. Did you, okay, I think if I understand correctly, there's 2 easements on his property. The drainage easement and another one, correct?
Yes, when I met with them. So by reducing the path to 8 feet, we're able to eliminate the drainage structure.
Can you show me that on a map or something, how that worked out?
I don't have a map with me. I do not.
I'm wondering how the drainage easement, how we don't, by taking 2 feet off the trail,
Gotcha.
how the permanent drainage easement disappeared.
So there's already an existing system along that. There's a ditch that goes up to the stormwater line that's on his property. This particular box is barely outside the existing right-of-way. It was barely outside the existing right-of-way, but elevation-wise, spatially, that was where it needed to be. And because even if it's 6 inches on his private property, we would need to have an easement. But by going 2 feet inside of that, we were able to eliminate it entirely. So
Is
that
it the box that's already there or that we're going to put in?
the box that we were going to put in can be eliminated based on the fact that we reduced it in that manner. I'm happy to share the design with the manager, and he can share that with you, but my apologies for not having that here this evening.
I just need to understand how changing it by 2 feet took away the need for the drainage easement. And I've looked at the maps, but I don't know, they're hard to understand, I think, if you're not an engineer.
Sure, no, I totally get that. I understand that.
So you are telling me that there will not be a need for a permanent drainage easement from Dr. Brown?
That's correct.
Okay.
And I'm happy to share, like I said, a map with you.
Yes, a temporary easement would be needed, and we know that's not gonna, he's not gonna go for that, so that means it would be the way I'm kind of phrasing it in my mind is a temporary eminent domain? Is that kind of what it ends up being? Well,
Yes.
isn't condemnation process the same thing as eminent domain?
Yes, that is essentially the same thing.
So we would need a temporary eminent domain from
No.
all those people?
No, eminent domain is a statutory law that provides the municipal government, state government to condemn property in the event of public infrastructure that serves the common good, the greater good. The condemnation is a court filing that basically says that if the property owner is not agreeable to a settlement, then the town has the statutory authority to take them to court. And that's really on any easement, because it's not that temporary and permanent are different in that way. It's the same real estate transaction, whether it's a temporary or permanent, but permanent is permanent, meaning that was the reason why it was considered a different level of communication.
What would we be seeking from court, just for him to allow us to do that and then it would end? I think that's her question, is temporary.
Like all these people that we need temporary construction easements from, if let's say 10 of them say no, do we have to go to court and do this whole process for all 10 of those?
I believe that you would, yes.
But what would we be seeking from the court, just to allow us to have the temporary easement?
That's correct.
And then once it's done, it'd be over with?
That's correct. I mean, the town will still pay for the temporary easement, so it's just a matter of go ahead.
No, I'm sorry.
And we'd have to pay for that, to go to court, for all those properties that are along there that are gonna say no.
Hypothetically, yes, there would be a court cost to the town, just like any other court proceeding.
There'd be a cost to the property owner if they wanted to, if we took them to court, correct? I mean, if they
That's
don't want-
correct. They would have to have legal representation as well, very likely, unless they're an attorney.
So all those property owners are gonna have to, all those property owners that live there now, that don't want this,
Once we're done, let's ask him any more questions and we can discuss it.
Can I?
I still have more questions. I'm just wanting to understand this because I hadn't heard about a court cost for us to take them all to court, all the ones that say no to temporary easements, we'll have to pay a court cost for each one of them, and they will have to pay for representation, each of them themselves. Okay, I didn't realize that. Landmark, it sounds like they may not, we're gonna try to reduce the drainage easement there because it sounds like they may not say yes. They have not said yes, correct?
They've not said yes or no, just because of the coordination with them. That's
Okay.
correct. So,
And
yeah,
Pierman White, you have not spoken with.
correct. There was not a permanent greenway easement in front of their property.
It was a permanent utility easement.
Correct.
And we don't need their permission for that?
The same rules apply of any easement would require them to settle. The right-of-way firm would need to settle any easements with the property owners.
And if they say no, then what?
The same rules apply.
Eminent domain.
Correct.
And with those utility easements, have we agreed to pay somebody for those utility easements if we're not paying the homeowner, but we're paying the, like, give me a utility easement that you got.
I'm not sure what you mean.
Give me
Like moving the light pole, so in front of the Pierman White property, there's a existing power pole that is in front of the north structure, and it is my understanding that Duke Power, do they want to upgrade that, and they're gonna, when they upgrade it, they're gonna move it north? Or is that going to be on us to do an easement to have it moved north? Which one?
that's
Well, thank you for the clarification. I'll answer that and make sure that that answers your question. So there are existing power poles that are in the way of the path, meaning there's poles along Summerfield Road. And some of them will be in the path unless we move them. So we reach out to Duke Energy. They have a relocation plan that pushes those poles outside of the existing situation. It's ironic that there's not existing utility easement there today, but if we move it 2 inches, we have to acquire a big easement. So that would be a cost to the town. Yeah, the easement cost itself would be a cost to the town.
And do we already know what that cost would be?
We do have estimates as part of our right-of-way authorization submittal to NCDOT. We do have estimates of those easements.
Would you give me an idea of what one of those costs would be?
I don't think I have the easement costs themselves. I feel like the entire easement cost was probably in the $150,000 range. Okay, thank you. I mean, that is looking at all 27 easements or all 27 properties and all the various easements that are necessary, and computing a fair market value for each of them, and then applying a 50% factor to those. And those will all be, reevaluated by the professional firm, using their calculations and their knowledge. But we needed to do so in order to get NCDOT authorization.
Thank you, I appreciate you sharing that.
Sure.
So back to that question,
Mm-hmm.
does Duke Power think that they need to upgrade that, and they're just gonna, because if the trail goes there, then we fit the bill, or will they just do it because they think it needs to be done? So
this is another interesting situation here. If the trail is not constructed, then Duke's not going to upgrade or change anything because the power works fine. But if we come in and build the 10.5 or 12.5 foot of infrastructure and the poles in the way, they would need to move the poles, but they plan to upgrade them to current standards. And that in and of itself makes sense. If they're older poles, they don't meet current criteria, they need to be raised up a little bit higher to meet the current standards. But that would be a situation where that would be part of the town's cost, is to make those utility relocations, but it would move the poles outside of the trail. Along the Landmark Enterprises is an example where with an 8-foot path, and even at the Medplex, with an 8-foot path, it allows the pole to be right at the edge. Well, that's not where we would want it, but we could eliminate a permanent easement by leaving it in place. The one in front of the Medplex happens to be what's called a secondary pole. Basically, the main distribution is across the street, and sometimes they'll have feeder lines that go across the street. I call them a secondary pole. But that's what's going on. There's upgrades to the poles as they relocate them outside of our trail.
So if it's 8 feet, 10.5 total, from the Medplex south to, the Pyramid White property, then that eliminates all permanent utility easements, all permanent easements, all permanent drainage easements, except for the one pole that's on the Pyramid White property. Is that true?
Yes, with the exception of once you move a pole, they have a domino effect. So once you relocate one to the north, it trickles a little bit. So there would still be a couple poles north and south of that pole that would have to be upgraded and fitted. But the 8 foot or 10.5 foot, as you mentioned, would be a wholesale change from the current design. And that would pull these or that would pull the trail in.
So if we had to do, if we were responsible for the one pole, then now Duke Power says, well, I need to go upgrade all these, would that not be on their dock?
That would need to be on their dime, and that would be the argument that I would make. Because if our project is in conflict with one pole, and we slide that one pole, but it touches 2 others, and there have to be some adjustments made to 2 others, then I think that should be the extent. That's a reasonable extent. But if they were to come and say, well, we want to upgrade the whole neighborhood, that's not a reasonable request. Because we don't need to. That's not part of the AMI Greenway.
Right. Do you have another question or?
I don't have any other questions, I'll wait for discussion.
I have one other question. So, you had said that there is one other drainage easement on the corner of Auburn, on the opposite side of the street as is the Winfrey property. And if we went to 8 feet there, then there would be no permanent drainage easement needed as well. Is that correct?
Well, we're able to adjust the drainage design itself to eliminate that permanent drainage easement without the trail being adjusted. But we're also happy to adjust it, for other reasons we've discussed tonight, making it more of a wholesale situation from the Medplex to the south.
But that being on the north side of Auburn, I feel like the whole thing needs to be the 10.5.
Okay.
Personally, I feel it needs to be 10.5 from Myersport down to Summerfield property. That keeps it uniform in width. It would be a natural adjustment to cross the street, go onto the school property and become the 12.5, and then it continue and across the front of the school and into the woods where it exists now. To me, that's a nice transition. It's a clean break. It also would probably, I anticipate, help with the temporary easement.
Yeah, going from, I know it's only a 20% reduction, but it does make a big difference.
So that's also helping with cost. You said 20% reduction, so 20%.
It does reduce the cost of the trail because instead of 10 feet of width, you're going to 8, so it's automatically a 20% reduction in cost itself, plus the earthwork, plus the drainage components on the outside.
All right, I have another question. So, year to date, I'm going to use round numbers because I don't know what the actual detailed number is. 750,000 has been spent over the years. That's a lot of money. So, how much, well, we don't know exactly how much more. Oh, how much of that would be paid back to us with our 80/20 grant? What
Okay,
percent, do you know
10%.
what percentage of that?
$600,000 would be paid back 80/20 if I did my math right.
Of that 750 we've already, so we would get,
If the 80/20 applies to the engineering piece,
well, that's what I'm asking.
that would be a question for the manager, not, because that's a grant question.
I'd have to go back and look at the municipal agreement. Sometimes the municipal agreement can include design, right-of-way, utilities, and construction. This particular for EB 5900 might just be for right-of-way utilities and construction, but I'd have to confirm that.
Right-of-way acquisition, utility relocation, and construction.
She just confirmed it.
Say that again.
Right-of-way acquisition, utility relocation, and construction.
So it doesn't include engineering.
So the 80/20 would not include the engineering side. That's correct.
Do you have any other questions?
Any other discussion?
What?
Oh,
Yeah,
I mean,
not for,
not,
not
guess
for
amongst
Jeff,
us.
but for amongst us. I don't have any more questions for you.
Well, thanks, sir. Thank you for your time.
Thank y'all for your time.
Thank you. So do we discuss amongst ourselves?
yeah, and see what we want. Would you mind sticking around for just a minute in case we do have a question that
Absolutely.
comes from that discussion? So, I guess the question is, I'm just curious if anyone is going to require us to actually go through with the court action. And from what I hear from folks, that's something that's a very real possibility.
It looks like that's where we're headed. We know there are people who are saying no. We
So-
know Pierman White is gonna say no. And we need the permanent utility easement from them. We know Medplex is gonna say no. We don't know if Landmark is gonna say yes or no. Plus the 24 other people that we haven't talked to yet. I'm sorry, 19 other people we haven't talked to yet. I'm quite sure that some of them are gonna say no. So that means we're gonna have to take that many people to court for condemnation to take their land. And we're gonna have to pay for ours, and they're gonna all have to get legal representation for us to take their land.
Do we want to spend, while we're waiting to find that out too, I mean, are we going to spend a lot more money on other parts of the project? If there was a way that we could just focus on whether or not we can even get the project done without.
My,
How's
que-
that? What's that?
my question is, if you put a pause on everything, and then, you ask the people
Focus on the people right now.
and focus on the narrow path and, see where we go from there.
How many people are you willing to take to court? Because we already know 2 are gonna be required.
You assume, right? You assume.
No,
Okay, well, let me, when the power lines came through the farm, we postured that we were going to court. We were gonna fight it until it got down to the wire. We took the settlement so that we got the best deal we could get. So you're assuming you're not taking it to court. It could be postured.
well, but one already said, you're gonna have to take it, I'm not agreeing.
Well, I think what we're saying is just see if we can focus
Okay,
on these people
so
and see if we
you
can
want,
figure out.
you wanna see how many we're gonna have to take to court in order to proceed?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that you going up and down and don't.
I'm not just talking about going up and down and knocking on doors.
You going up and down knocking on doors is different than the project's going on, this is where we are, and if they start the posture and I can just speak from, I can't speak for anybody else. But you saying that, the town's getting ready to condemn if you don't take the deal, and they're like, hey, you throwing another $1,000 and I'm all in, I don't know. I don't know. But I think that if we don't continue on with the project, that it's worse for the town, and it may not be the best way to look at it, but it's worse for the town not to do this project because we fall to the bottom of the list for any other project we want to do. Who would want to work with this because we can't finish a project? We've not finished a thing.
Is there a way we could just give him some direction on what to do so that way we can see if we can get it done?
I thought we
And that,
did we don't?
what's that?
Well, we did, but we gave him this direction.
Guys,
Partial direction.
We gave him direction to talk to those 8, and he did, and some of them said no.
Yeah.
So why do we need to send them back to go talk to the same people again? They already said no because we think they might be posturing. They said no.
The only reason I think that there would be a change is because if we can get the 8-foot like, I personally think it should be all the way across, then you're not taking any permanent easements except for that one utility pole.
Is there a way for us to put a pause on this, and that way we can follow up with Twig outside of this, and to get a little more clear?
We can get a pause?
Well, that's not the thing. It's like if there's a possibility that there might be enough people here to actually stop it in case there is some sort of, in case some of those things talked about actually do happen, and I know some of us would probably vote to stop it if that's the issue, maybe put a pause on it to see if that can be worked out before we come back.
It's gonna cost us to go talk to those 24, the 8 permanent, apparently maybe we need to talk to them again because we're hoping they're gonna change their mind. So we're gonna go back and talk to some of them, plus the 19 that we haven't talked to yet. That's gonna cost us how much, they said the land acquisition company charges how much to work with each landowner. We're gonna have to pay for that, 27 total. We're still gonna have to pay for that, minus
So
a
let's
couple.
put a pause on it for now if we can. I mean, I move that the council, I move that the ANY be paused for the time being until the council can revisit it next month.
Is that a motion?
Yes, sir.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
I second it.
Have a motion and a second, further discussion.
Can we ask Jeff a question?
Sure.
Is it your profession to go out and acquire land? Is that your,
I'm an engineer, so that's why we hire a professional right-of-way firm to actually go and acquire the easements. And that's why we would actually reach back out to not just the 19, but they would reach out to the 8 again, but that purpose would be to actually go through a formal process.
and start talking offers?
That's correct. I was asking them a question. They're actually talking about acquiring the easement, and it would be a little bit more formal process.
And I hope you don't feel like we're trying to grill you, because we're definitely not. We're just trying to learn about it a lot. And then we're also trying to make sure that we don't spend a lot of money if we end up not going through with it because of those particular issues. So that's sort of, that's where I am on it, so. But, any other questions, comments?
Any other discussion?
Yeah,
Thank you, sir.
I know, Mr. Mayor. I don't think that a pause is needed. We heard actually some really good information tonight from Jeff. Thank you for being here. Really good information that we're able to get that down to 10 feet to 8 feet. We got a lot of oral OKs, which is fantastic to hear. I think we still had one TBD, which was the Guilford County Schools.
And Landmark, and Pierman White,
Landmark, yep.
and Board of Education.
But, of course, this motion doesn't end it. This was just a motion to put a pause on it until I think some of us are able to.
I'm sorry, Heath was not.
Oh, I thought he was, I'm
No,
sorry.
no.
I'm sorry, I was correcting what he said.
I got lots to say, I'll be patient.
Yeah, go ahead, good.
So I feel this would prevent us from meeting our deadline and commitment. It seems to me that we are hyper-focused on this sidewalk that's near or touching someone's property, and perhaps we're missing the big picture. As much as we want to, we can't please everyone. What we've been talking about a lot is temporary easements, not permanent easements. These are temporary, where they may or may not even come on their property. These are tough decisions that we have to make, and we can make those right now. And we are the government here in this local community, and that is what we're talking about is potentially risky. This should not be a difficult decision when so much has already been telling us to take this path. Number one, a 2000 long-range plan for this town, already adopted. A 2010 comprehensive plan, already adopted. A 2012 ANY Greenway feasibility study. A 2019 tunnel and sidewalk opening. A 2020 trailhead parking acquired by the town on Summerfield Road. a 2021 master plan adopted by this town for parks, trails, and open space. In that same year, we had the students paint the tunnel, and we had a trailhead naming. 2022, the council adopted the COT right-of-way acquisition construction to begin in 2024, and 2023, we undergone, which some of this council has been on, a unified development ordinance, and in that 2023, the council approved planning and engineering AY Greenway. Just last year, we unanimously voted to have the Trails and Open Space Committee to give us feedback on going on Summerfield Road. That was a significant cost savings, I think around 2.6 miles. And then also in 2024, we have the property owners have a letter of greenway notification for plans of easement acquisition, and I think that was in the July timeframe. And then beginning of this year, we had a public information meeting, which I attended, and I thought it was very favorable. I think you did a good job, Jeff. All of these updates, all of the approvals, all of the plans that this town has that we are to follow and adopt is overwhelmingly in support of trails and sidewalks, biking, hiking, with direct reference on Summerfield Road. Black and white. Prior councils, prior manager, current manager, citizens, businesses, Trails and Open Space Committee, who we've asked to advise, have led the path. They expect us to adhere. And we say, we care about affordable housing, low-income housing. How about those families that trailer park? I know they matter. How about the women and children who walk and ride their bikes on the roads that I see today? They matter. Now, I know we represent all the residents on both sides of Summerfield Road, and we also represent the 10,000 souls in our entire community. I know we're hyper-focused on these few lots here, but we got to look out for the entire community and our entire master plan, comp plan, UDO, every plan we've had for decades. The benefits outweigh the risk. I wrote down a few benefits. I thought this might happen tonight. Summerfield Road Path saves the town substantial money by shortening less constructive engineering. It removes a 20% penalty by exceeding the trail beyond the tunnel and keeps us in line with the timeline for DOT. It's a 4-to-1 match we really don't want to lose. It's free recreation and exercise for our community. It decreases the accidents of providing dedicated, safe routes for our citizens to be on. According to our plans, historically, it increases property value and it creates economic value to the community, promoting activity with local businesses such as the bicycle shop nearby, the arts, the coffee shop, the school, Founders Day, and others. What we're potentially doing is putting all these things at risk. And the risks I want to point out to you before we go and make a vote on pausing this thing for an undisclosed amount of time that I feel is not needed. Some of the risks is not moving forward ignores so many that have laid the foundation for this for many, many years. It goes directly against our town comprehensive plan. It goes directly against our master plan that we uphold and are supposed to adhere to. It reflects irresponsible and wasteful taxpayer funds of over $700,000 with nothing to show for it. Nothing. It puts us paying a penalty for construction, or a contractual agreement for not producing the trail up from Route 220 north. From the voices of others that we have heard in months prior, and we heard from Mr. Doggett, it can seriously reduce the access of the town receiving grants for many, many years. Fund holders want to see the resources put to good use and not squandered. This was part of our strategic plan to go after grants, not get grants. Not following through on our agreements, our commitments, or even following our own town policies further places a spotlight for some to attempt to take our charter. Now, I know we can be trusted, and we just need to show it.
I think that sounds great. But what all the people,
That is great. No, that's the law.
but what it failed to happen was to ask the people who it affects on a daily basis if they want it. And the people that live there, who the trail is gonna go through their front yard, the people that live there, except maybe one you say you heard of that wants it, all the rest of the people whose front yard it goes through don't want it. And it should have never been proposed for this site. There was I think it was 2010 Summerfield Road study done just to put sidewalks in, and that was turned down because the people that live on Summerfield Road don't even want sidewalks going through their front yard. So that was turned down. There's lots of great things about it. A great A&Y Greenway, great. Lots of people want trails, yes. Those people didn't say that they wanted to go through anyone's front yard who doesn't want it, anywhere, to put it anywhere no matter what. And we're not taking into consideration the people who live there, whose front yard it's going through, and they don't want it.
And, you know, I think you mentioned something being too hyper-focused on Summerfield Road, but, you know, I respectfully disagree. I know that's where the issue is. You know, we have some work sessions coming up that we're going to be doing very soon. And so those could be things that we can work on. There may be some alternatives, alterations we can do. I just don't want to cram this where it's not wanted. You know, I'm not against it. I don't see any reason why we can't finesse it a little bit. But that's all I've got. I'm happy to vote here soon.
Yeah, I'm not interested in taking our citizens to court to take their land.
Mr. Mayor, do you have any advice or comments?
No. It's, you know, it's time to get straight.
Yes, it is. As elected officials, we must uphold what's already been adopted. And not ignoring or selecting, or just selectively choosing what we decide to uphold is not right. The council has been getting updates. We've been spending money on this greenway for many, many years. Let's be responsible. Let's be the council that finally gets this thing done for the town and not put the town at jeopardy. Just like what we're doing with, we all know it, a little bit of controversy around the water project, if you're not talking about that, or the value engineering of Bandera Farms. There's 3 good projects that we're trying to get through. And you can't be selectively picking which ones you want.
Well,
We've
we've tried to do the A&Y Trail. We've looked at like 4 different locations, and none of them work without taking people's land from them. So it's not a lack of trying, but it never went through with the other councils because there was never a location without taking people's property. So yeah, money was spent to try. This avenue, this part of it, should have never happened. The A&Y study and the Greenway feasibility study said Summerfield Road doesn't work. So for some reason, we went back to try to force it there because we couldn't find anywhere else to put it. The truth is, we haven't been able to find a good place for it. We tried. We spent lots of money trying. But if we're not willing to take people's land, we haven't found a place to put it.
This is probably the best that I've heard since in my time being in this town. I moved here in '09, that we've had probably the best opportunity to make this happen. We've got we're on the cuff of not seeing this project through and meeting the timeline that the DOT has given us. We also have the ability to shorten it, the overall length, and shorten the width. And we just heard from Jeff a great feedback. He's positively got good oral communications that, hey, yeah, we can, let's see where this goes. You're focused on
That's a stretch.
You don't know that.
He doesn't know for sure that we're going to get 8 feet in. He doesn't know for sure that he's going to get that approved.
I have a question.
We don't know if it's going to get approved.
So, if this was to be put on a temporary pause, when when do you think it's possible, you may have said a week earlier, but I just want to clarify. When do you think we could get the okay slash, I agree with engineering plans, we can do the 8 foot from the fire station south? That way there would be no permanent acquisitions needed, or no permanent acquisitions, therefore no permanent eminent domains needed, except for maybe that one light pole. How long would that take?
As I mentioned, I've been in contact with NCDOT, so I think I could reach out to Alex tomorrow and get an answer within this week.
Okay, so we'll say a week on that. All right, and then at the same time, the acquisition company, that's their job. They do that all day long. They talk to people, and their major duty would be to ask for temporary construction easements. Is that correct?
Yes, that's the overwhelming majority of the easements that we seek.
If we get the 8 foot, okay, then it's just gonna be the temporary, cut and dry. If it's 8 foot, if it's an 8 foot path from the fire station south, we wouldn't need any permanent easements. Therefore, the acquisition company at that time, they're just trying to acquire a temporary rental use of that land, that if there's a tire rut in there, they're gonna fix it back just like it was or better. Is that correct? Cut and
Well,
dry?
we have not gone and engineered the 8 feet to see if it would eliminate all pole relocations other than Pierman White.
But Pierman White is still one of them. It is still gonna be a permanent easement.
I know that one pole,
Okay.
but all the rest of them, it looks like there would be no permanent easements. Because you said it might be right up against it.
That's
Well,
right.
if it's right up against it, then
If you're comfortable with it being right up against it, or
DOT has to, I run on the roads all the time. So if I have to get out of the way, I'm right up against it.
sure. Our desire is to have a 2 foot minimum lateral offset from the edge of the path to any vertical obstructions like a pole, just for safety. That would be our ideal situation. So I'd have to go back, Councilor Devaney, and check that out, but I'm happy to do so and see if there's any poles that would now be in the middle of the 8 foot path, and that would need to be relocated to get outside of it, so that it's not in the way. Some that are on the edge, I'm hearing, would be more acceptable.
Okay.
So we would have to check on that.
What's the cost of a redesign? I mean, I hear them talking about cost. If you design it from a 10 foot to an 8 foot, I'm sure there's a cost.
Well, the cost component, because of the way we do our plans, is in coordinate geometry, and we'd have to update our cross sections to reflect that reduced width. But I don't know what that cost is.
10,000, 20,000, 5,000, I mean, just.
Probably 10 to 15 as a range.
So we're still gonna spend more money and it's still gonna come down to eminent domain. So either we're gonna go with eminent domain and be okay with it for one people or however many, or we're not.
And as far as this language about foundations and stick with what's already been done, I mean, some foundations are shaky. And, I mean, you don't always have to do what the person who did before you. But either way, like I said, I'm ready to go whatever we can do that.
Thank you, sir. Any other discussion from the council?
Mr. Robinson, did you reference the AMI Greenway feasibility study as it not saying Summerfield Road? Because I have read every comp plan, master plan, feasibility study, UDO, everything I can get my hands on, because I read just the opposite. It says
This is the AMI feasibility study and it said it doesn't fit on Summerfield Road.
yes, it recommends that asphalt and concrete multi-use sidewalk up Summerfield Road.
This feasibility study said Summerfield Road does not work.
February 2012.
I don't know, the Withers and Ravenel A&Y Greenway feasibility study.
Okay.
Where's your data, Heath? This one's February 2012, it looks like.
The only thing they even considered was a 6 foot sidewalk and they said that doesn't even work.
Further discussion? Hearing none,
So, can I ask a question? On the table, we have a motion that says that we want to
I
pause.
was just getting ready to ask her to read the motion.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Never mind. Yes. If you would, please, would you mind reading the motion back to us, just so everyone will remember?
Councilmember Hamilton moved that the Anway project be paused until council can evaluate further aspects of the project.
Thank you, sir.
Did I get it?
Yes, sir.
That was a motion and has a second. If everyone reminded of the motion, we'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
The motion does not carry.
I raised my hand.
They
I'm
voted
sorry,
for the
I'm
motion
sorry,
and you
I'm sorry.
voted against.
I'm sorry.
So it was a 3-2 vote.
So can I have an ask?
Of course.
My ask is, one, I would like as soon as possible for us to know, does 8-foot width, 10.5 feet total width, does that work from the fire department south? Because fire department's already voted, they're good with what's in front of them. So from them south, and,
But even if you do that, then you understood that it would still, even the temporary easement would require court action, and you're okay with it?
If it goes into action.
I have been through a temporary, I
And then
can't assume what anybody else is gonna do. I have been through.
A temporary easement is primarily for the purpose of access, construction.
They wanted to park a truck on my
parking
property, they never
vehicles.
ended up parking a truck on it.
And it's hard to believe that someone would go to court over something that would be temporary and that they would be fixing back to as close as to where it was when they moved in. So,
Okay. We'll see.
So what's your ask?
So my ask is, one, find out, is DOT in agreement, they like the engineer plan for the 8-foot? And then secondly, I personally would like to see, the acquisition company go to the residents and at least have the preliminary conversation, and just explain to them, this is what it looks like now. I'm only asking for a temporary easement, and explain to them what that would entail. I gave the scenario of my temporary easement. I was not affected. I don't know, I can't say that will be the case for anybody else's, temporary easement, but, I would like to see where we are. And I would like to see everybody try to come to some type of compromise. I think trying to get it to a smaller width shows that we're concerned about permanent easements. We don't want to go through the court costs. We don't want to go through the butting heads with citizens or whatnot. I think we're trying to make movement here. I'm hoping that others can see that there's movement trying to be made as well.
Manager, I'd ask a question at this point. Doing this second part of what Mayor Pro Tem Devaney talked about we're gonna ensue a cost for that. So is that something we need to make a motion on here to go forward with that? Or is this something that's covered in a previous motion and vote that we've done in the past?
I'm not for sure, Mr. Mayor.
So,
I think it is already covered, but I'm just trying
It
to
is.
cover my basis.
yeah, so the actions, the asks from Councilor Devaney are included in our contract.
And that's already approved and in place.
That's correct.
Okay, just want to verify that.
Jeff,
So we would not need a motion or a vote for him to proceed with that.
how soon can you talk to, I think, Mr. Robinson? right?
Mhm.
For the NCDOT on,
That's right.
on getting that, like what Ms.
So
Mr. Bainey said.
what I plan to do is reach out to Alex, who works with Stephen Robinson at NCDOT in Greensboro, and see if we can go ahead and have a conversation with IMD, that's the Integrated Mobility Division. Yeah.
And then you'll let our town manager know.
That's right.
Okay,
Correct. Let the manager know.
What other costs will we be incurring while we reach out to the 27 people?
So, as I mentioned before, the overall cost per parcel is $5,200. I'm going to reach out to Right Path Acquisitions and explain to them the ask, and see if we can split that out into different sums, meaning that it's $5,200 to go from start to finish. This is an initial conversation with the property owners and see if we can work that out to where it doesn't incur the full amount. I think that's wise stewardship.
Like a prorated amount for this
Prorated
first
amount.
part?
How much for the initial contacts, how much for the valuations, how much for sitting down with a written offer, and so on and so forth. Try to split that out.
And that was really the reason for the pause, to see if we could sort of figure out a way to talk to corral everything into seeing if we can actually get these things worked out.
I have one more question. So, let's say, Mr. Green Jeans says, you're sitting down and you're talking to them and they're understanding, and they actually are like, they're understanding, and they understand that we've tried to compromise and we're trying to keep everything off their property, everything as much as possible in NCDOT. If they say, okay, I'm willing to compromise, then at that point in time, would the acquisition company be ready to go ahead and have that person sign on the line?
No, the initial conversation would be just that.
Okay.
The formal process has a valuation. Sometimes I think for like Guilford County Board of Education, because of the amount of easement, there need to be an appraisal,
Yeah.
as an example.
I'm not really worried about them.
No, I understand, but there may be a few other appraisals based on the situation that they uncover. But that would be the next step. It's not informal because they're doing it, but I think what the direction I'm hearing from is an initial conversation.
Right.
And see where that takes us.
Yeah, I would like for them to see.
Any additional discussion on this topic? Any at all? Then we'd entertain a motion to move to the closed session. Oh, no, sorry. Item number 10, any manager and council reports, updates, or comments?
Yes. Oh, you're going to do yours first, buddy.
Let me leave this, Mayor. You want me to leave this?
Sure.
Okay. Jeff, if you'll bring up that, and I apologize if this is a little small, but, and indulge me for walking over to it because of my bad eyes. So this is a project dashboard. Jeff, you need me to move over just a little bit, buddy. You're blocking it with your shoulder. This is a project dashboard of all the projects we have going on. Can you slide it this way just a little bit, Jeff? So we see the name of the project. So this is something that council's been asking for, and so what we plan on doing as staff is updating this every meeting, and what this shows is the name of the project, the start date, the due date, how many days it's been in progress, whether it's been approved by y'all, next step council review in this particular case, the estimate cost, the quoted cost, and then if we can slide all the way over here when you see the actual money that's been spent, and then there are comments here. So I'll just start with the sign. Right now we're waiting for the cost of design of breakaway signs. We've talked about a lot of different signs. So we're waiting on that cost. We have an estimate of the sign itself, but the design of it for that from a sign company, and that's due in the next couple of weeks. The next is the water tank and transmission line. You can see the dates. You can see what the estimated cost is, how much has actually been spent, and Just slide over, Jeff, please. And we blew this up so that, for the benefit of the public. Priest and Nichols is included, that, so in other words, that money was cost. The next is the A&Y Greenway. I think we just flushed that one out pretty hard. Can you move it back? There you go. So this is Bandera Farms. We've done some value engineering on it. The latest estimates are coming in somewhere about 4.7, 4.8 million on that particular project. They're at 90% construction drawings are due to me by the 23rd of April. And they're on track and already started the conversation and permitting applications for Bandera. So slide it back, please, Jeff. The comprehensive plan is next. It's underway. That's an ongoing process right now. They're working on the first 4 chapters of the UDO and part of the comprehensive, and you'll be hearing more and more. That's going to start picking up speed here soon. We'll have the schedule out in the next probably 60 days about public input, how that's going to be, and different hearings and projected. So we're on target with that right now. We're looking at a finish date of January 1 of 25. And the land use plan follows that same thing as the comprehensive plan because they're running together.
Excuse me, is that January 1 of 26?
No, it should be 25.
That was
I'm sorry, 26, yes, 26,
Okay.
yes, January 26. So that's a project update, kind of all the different projects, and we'll be updating that with cost every month. The finance officer's working in conjunction with me on that for council. The budget is well underway. We've met with all the department heads and the finance officer and I have to see their ask. And there's a couple of key pieces of information we're waiting on before we can start cracking down the final numbers. That is the cost of the taxes that we lost when that 1,000 acres was de-annexed. We're waiting for that from Guilford County. Also, all of our insurance being quoted, the North Carolina League of Municipalities pulled out of some of their insurance across the state, just not for us, across the state. And so we're waiting on new insurance quotes. That should come in the next couple of weeks. We anticipate on having a draft for the Finance Committee later on this month. They're aware of that, for them to look over and comment on it. And then my formal presentation is planned for your next May meeting of the formal presentation of the 25-26 budget. That is proposed. And then the 27th of May, we have a scheduled workshop right back here at 6:30. That is for y'all to ask questions. If we hold to that date, then you all will be able to send us back, or either say, go ahead and schedule the public hearing. You schedule the public hearing. Just remind you, we have to have it adopted by state statute by June 30th. So that's kind of my update. One last thing is, we had a mock, as you saw in the weekly report I sent out Sunday, we had a mock OSHA inspection by the North Carolina League of Municipalities. Their risk department came in and looked over all of our town operations, and we have reports coming forward, and I'll share that with you once that comes in. There are a few budgetary things that we need to look at addressing in the 25-26, but it does not appear to be anything major at this time. And that is my report, Mr. Mayor and Council. Oh, and I'm sorry, I also would like the town attorney to speak to the flow of the agenda.
Yeah, I would just very briefly like to address the reordering of some of the items on the agenda that the mayor mentioned earlier. The intention was very much to make sure that there were 2 dedicated periods of comment time. One, to provide dedicated, uninterrupted time for citizens to bring their concerns to the council, with a follow-up opportunity later for the governing board to address those concerns and provide thoughtful comments and responses should they so choose to do. That's all I have to say.
Rose, I got a quick question for you, if I could.
Yes, sir.
Not too long ago, we approved a 75% fee schedule, and then I think next year it'll be 100.
Yes, sir.
How is that working out so far?
Very well. So March was a partial month. We're talking about the fee schedule. March was a partial month for Summerfield Athletic Park, and we billed out just over $12,000 for March.
It's anticipated that we're gonna be, $16,000 for the rest of the season. And so November's a short month too. So we're way ahead of our projections, that we, forecasted to you all in January.
15 to 16,000 per month?
Per month. Right. That's at 75% of what the fee schedule is that council had adopted in the budget. And as you recall, my proposal was, let's slide those users into 75% this year, because they had not been charged anywhere near that in the past, and next year will be 100%. So it will go up, you can do another 25% on 15,000, that's about 20,000 a month. And the fields are booked solid with a waiting list.
Mr. Manager, may I ask you a question, please? We have talked about scheduling workshops, strategic planning, that type of thing. I wanted to know if you and council, if we could go ahead and like put the dates on the books. We are considering the third Tuesday of the month. That would start next week, and then go forward from there on the third Tuesday. I don't know what council has. I know it's spring break next week, so that cuts me out. But it's not like we wouldn't know what it is. Nobody's making any, there's no votes, there's no decisions made. It's a talk, answer question, so we can fill each other out and try to understand certain projects. And then anything that had to be voted on, we would move that to the next council meeting, is how these workshops would work. I know you need a 10-day period to advertise that we would have these workshops, because we would be set up in a roundtable design so that we would be in here just talking. So I'll take it from there.
We don't need a 10-day period.
Okay.
I think that as much advance notice as possible helps everybody's schedule, and certainly out of respect for staff being here, we have to have a clerk here. But the idea was, and I think I talked to each of you in the last week, was to start having some workshops, to start tackling some of the issues and having some discussions. And the format of those meetings would be like a conference room table setting. It would be open to the public. It would be audio recorded. It would be advertised. So, but the conversations I had with each of you is that it would be time for discussion, be allowed up to 4 total topics, if y'all adhere to that framework, at 30 minutes a topic. And if you finish center, fine. But there would be no business passed during this meeting. It'd be just discussion time, just to try to flush out some of the many challenges that we're facing in the community. So y'all just need, at your pleasure, pick a night so we can advertise, make sure we have staff here to support y'all in those discussions, and have the appropriate staff if we're talking about something, say, in Parks and Rec, and you want to have some frank one-on-one sit-down discussions with the Parks and Rec director and myself.
Would these be special call?
That depends on y'all. Y'all could recess them from a regular call meeting, or you could have a special call meeting. If you do a special call meeting, then you could only talk about the topics on that agenda that we would actually put to the public.
Is that the best way to notice it, as a special call, even though we would already know the dates prior?
Do you have an opinion on that, Ms. Town Attorney?
I think it really depends on sort of the goal for each individual meeting and what you want to accomplish. Because I certainly think there might be times where you want to address things where you're not limited to a certain agenda.
I agree.
I agree with
If, for example, we don't adjourn this meeting, we've already adopted the agenda, so we can't really add more to it.
Correct.
So would it be better to have a special call meeting and just go by whatever we, if say 4 topics, but let's say we only get to the 2 topics. So
Yeah, but then that would mean the work session agenda has to be included in the monthly council meeting agenda. is what you're saying, right?
I think the idea is to provide focused meetings on a predetermined idea.
Yeah.
Or a predetermined set of topics.
Yes.
That lends itself better to a special called meeting.
Do we have a time?
But should you decide you want to carry over discussion from one of these meetings, you have the option to continue it.
We were thinking that it would be a 2-hour limit, and it would be 5:30 to 7:30. If it's under a special call and say that we got the 3 topics, but we ran out of time at 7:30 and we didn't get to the 4th one, is that a problem? That we didn't discuss it? I don't know with that rule.
We can just discuss it really fast and say, we realize we were out of time,
I mean,
and we're
you
gonna
will
discuss it
essentially
next time.
run those as the same way you run these meetings.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
The only change I would like to make is saying no business will be passed. I think sometimes, like the fee schedule, we need to work on things, and we should have the option to conduct business. If we need to vote on something, why wouldn't we?
Because what if not everybody's there? And this was supposed to be a work session. I
But
think
sometimes
this-
things come up and we need a special called meeting, and then we already have it on there.
I do see Lynn's issue with that. And so
Yeah.
we just want to be careful.
I don't,
Because if it's a little more, we've all committed to this,
this is supposed to be
Particular day
more
of the month.
casual.
and if, we have to be careful, make sure everybody
Okay,
can be
I
present
can-
for votes.
I can go along with the majority on that then.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay, so does everybody like the 3rd Tuesday of the month? And then if that's the case, then on I'm proposing the May 27th was our town council work/budget workshop. Would y'all be okay with moving that up to the 20th? You're out of town on the 20th, okay.
And I actually think I'll be in, I think I'll be one of the judges for teen court that night.
So then perhaps we just, in May, we leave the meeting as previously scheduled, which is fine.
But we know not everyone's gonna be here for the work session, so let's get them on the calendar for the 3rd week. If it happens that we're not gonna have a quorum, then it gets canceled, but let's get them on the calendar, and
Well,
whoever can go, go.
And that's why I'm bringing this one up. Everybody can be here on the 27th, so that would be the 4th, because it's been scheduled. We will not move this one to the 3rd.
No, we will just add it to the 20th, because it's the 3rd Tuesday of the month.
May 27th,
But he can't be here, and John can't be here. So
You can't be here either, John?
No, I'm not down.
that's what I'm saying. There would be an exception for May. We'll keep the May meeting as scheduled on the 27th.
at what time?
It was scheduled for 6 p.m. Is it best, Mr. Manager, to keep that at 6 since it's already been noticed to the public on the 27th?
It is really what y'all's pleasure is. I'm a fan for consistency for the public's benefit,
And I
same
am
night,
too.
same time, same place,
Right,
sort of the same back channel type mentality.
same here,
But it's really at the pleasure of the board. We just need time to notice it
yes.
to the sunshine list, to the media, and to the public.
And I'm out of the country on the 27th, but
Me too.
Uh,
I am too, but, oh well. We're not, that's why we gotta get this on the calendar so they become predictable.
Okay, I didn't know that, but that was.
yeah, that's fine.
Ms. Robinson brought up a good idea or question came to my mind. What if only 2 people on council show up and it's not a quorum? Can we still meet, even though it's not an official meeting? We can still meet with staff and have a conversation?
So again, this depends on sort of how you call the meeting, how you categorize it, and this is the type of question that if I had been asked in advance and known your goals, I could have prepared a variety
You'll
of
get back to
options.
me?
Yes.
Okay, that's all you have to say.
And
I get that at work all the time.
Follow up on that.
No problem.
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay, so can we move forward with doing April 27th? I mean,
May.
April,
May 27th.
well, do y'all want to do next week or not?
I can do it, we'll have to do it by phone.
John?
Next week, I can do it.
So that means it would be April 22nd. It would be May 27th.
Wait, April what?
22, the third Tuesday.
Well, that would be the 15th,
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm a week ahead. I'm sorry, I'm a week ahead. You're right, the 15th. I'm sorry, I'm a week ahead. That would be the 15th. And I have it written in the calendar. And then it would be leave May 27th alone because it's been advertised to the citizens as that. And then June would be, June 17th.
And from then on out, third Tuesday.
Yeah, so we would have one in July on the 15th.
Yep.
And what we could do is at a later council meeting, we can make sure the public knows the dates for those third Tuesdays. We can at least say it.
Would they be here?
Yes.
You said
five, three, or
six?
5:30 to
Except for
7,
that one.
right, 5:30 to 7:30, April 15th, June 17th, July 15th, the third Tuesday, except for May 27th, and that would be 6 p.m., and that's all it's been advertised for.
The July one we'll have to talk about if we want to do, isn't that the month we don't have a meeting?
Yes.
I would prefer to have a meeting that month and not skip it, because I feel like the agenda just really builds when we skip a meeting. But we can talk about that another time.
Okay. All right, is there any, do we need to make a motion on that?
We may need to work out something with the FW. They have the community center the third Tuesday of every month. However, they have not been using it.
Oh, they
What are
have
the
not
hours?
been using
They
it.
have not been using it, but part of our agreement to have the community center is to accommodate them, and we have set aside the third Tuesday of every month.
What time?
I mean, we could also, town hall
Six.
would accommodate, I don't think any more of the public than would be there. I think town hall would accommodate.
We can contact, I have VFW contact, we can contact them. They haven't been using it, and they might just feel fine with us, maybe even altering their day.
Okay. So do you need this in a motion, or should we just say meet at town hall at the conference?
I don't think a motion is needed.
Okay, all right.
Any other announcements, comments, or updates from the council? Ms. Manager, are you done? Did you have any more updates?
I have nothing else for the board, Mr. Mayor.
Anything else from the council?
No, sir.
Anyone like to make a motion to recess to closed session?
Before we do that, I'll just say, I think I heard Mr. Rollins' name mentioned earlier. Mr. Rollins, you're doing a great job. Very happy that we got you, and happy to see a new face over here too, Ms. Rucker. Thank you for joining us. Mr. Bacon, you know it's always a pleasure.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make the motion that we move to closed session to consult with an attorney employed or retained by the public body on confidential matters in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege as provided under NCGS 143-318.11A3.
Have a motion and a second? Second. Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I will stand adjourned for the recess. Thank you all. We'll get out as quickly.
It is, right?
Mr. Mayor, may I make a motion that we come back into session, under attorney-client privilege NCGS 143-318.11A3, and verified at the same time that we discussed all of this.
Have a motion, have a second.
Second.
A motion, a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we return to open session. Any business?
Yes, Mayor, I move that we authorize the manager to engage Sands Anderson to perform a workplace investigation into the actions of former employees.
Have a motion, have a second.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It is unanimous.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, folks.
We've already made a note.